If you've been around Toronto long enough, you've probably noticed one thing. Afrobeats isn't just music anymore. It's become a movement, a pulse that has woven itself into the rhythm of the city. But it wasn't always like this. Time has played the biggest role in shaping Afrobeats here, transforming it from something small, something only a few people cared about, into one of the most unifying sounds in Canada. This is the story of how time molded Toronto's Afrobeats culture, and how every era added its own flavor to what we have today. In the early 2010s, Toronto was a melting pot of Caribbean, African, and Western cultures, but Afrobeats was still just a whisper. Most African students coming to Canada were holding on to what they knew: hip-hop, dancehall, maybe a few Nigerian hits here and there. When people threw African parties, you'd hear Wizkid's "Holla at Your Boy" or P-Square's "No One Like You," but it wasn't mainstream. It was a niche vibe, enjoyed mostly by Nigerians who wanted a taste of home. Still, that was the seed. Those songs became the soundtrack to basement parties, student events, and random nights in Scarborough apartments. Time passed, and the sound started spreading beyond its original circle. Around 2014 and 2015, Toronto began feeling a shift. Afrobeats wasn't just Nigerian music anymore. It was becoming global. Artists like Davido, Wizkid, and Burna Boy started getting international attention. And with every viral hit, Toronto's Africans and Caribbeans found something new to bond over. University students at York, U of T, and Ryerson began throwing Afrobeats-themed parties. DJs started blending Naija hits with Caribbean dancehall and North American trap. Slowly, the city was developing its own version of the sound, Toronto Afrobeats. By the late 2010s, Afrobeats in Toronto had matured. You could feel it in the energy. Clubs that used to only play hip-hop began dedicating entire nights to Afrobeats. Promoters saw the business opportunity, and new events were born: boat cruises, day parties, and annual festivals that highlighted African pride. What time did was give people confidence. The longer Afrobeats stayed around, the more people realized it wasn't just a passing trend. It was something real, something that reflected who they were and where they came from. At this stage, names like AJ Styles, DJ Magic Flows, DJ Havel, and DJ Damager became familiar across the city. They became the new wave of cultural ambassadors, using the decks to bridge the gap between Toronto and Lagos. What's special about this era is that it wasn't forced. It grew naturally. The demand came from the people. Time had nurtured a new generation that no longer had to explain what Afrobeats was. They lived it. Then came the post-pandemic boom. Around 2021 and 2022, Afrobeats exploded. With social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram Reels, Toronto's Afrobeats events became more visible than ever before. Every week there was a new highlight reel, a new clip of someone dancing to Rema's "Calm Down," or Burna Boy performing in front of thousands of screaming fans. That visibility changed everything. Suddenly, Afrobeats wasn't just for Africans, it was for everyone. Toronto became one of the top cities in North America where Afrobeats artists wanted to perform. And every concert was a reminder that the culture had arrived. But time didn't just shape the popularity of Afrobeats. It also shaped the attitude around it. What used to be underground and unpolished evolved into something professional and organized. Promoters started collaborating with sponsors, venues began to recognize the value of Afrobeats nights, and artists from Canada began embracing their African roots with pride. Nonso Amadi, Toby, Teen, and others became proof that Toronto had its own Afrobeats identity, not just as consumers, but as creators. One of the most powerful ways time changed things is through fashion and lifestyle. Afrobeats events are no longer just parties, they're full cultural showcases. You see people showing up in vibrant Ankara prints, designer fits, and head-turning looks that mix African tradition with Toronto streetwear. Every photo, every video clip captures a sense of pride that used to be missing. And when you really think about it, that's what time did. It gave people permission to be proud. Another transformation that time brought is inclusivity. In the early days, Afrobeats events were mostly attended by Africans. But now, they've become multicultural spaces where everyone is welcome. Caribbean folks, Latin communities, even white Canadians are showing up, dancing, and vibing without hesitation. The music became a universal language that erased differences and created connection. That's not something you can rush. It took years of evolution, collaboration, and consistency to build that comfort. And when you trace it all the way back, you realize that time wasn't just a backdrop. It was the main character. Every year contributed a different chapter. The student era built the foundation. The mid-2010s brought the cross-cultural exchange. The 2020s elevated the sound to a global platform. And now, in 2025, Afrobeats in Toronto isn't just thriving. It's defining how the world sees African culture in Canada. Today, you can't talk about nightlife in Toronto without mentioning Afrobeats. Whether it's at Vibez Lounge, Saluna, or an outdoor summer event, the energy is unmatched. DJs keep pushing boundaries, promoters keep innovating, and fans keep showing up. The story of Afrobeats in this city is proof that when culture meets time, something beautiful happens. What started as a sound of home became a symbol of pride, a lifestyle, and a bridge between continents. As we look forward, time is still doing its thing. The next chapter might bring new sounds, new faces, and new styles, but the spirit will remain the same. Afrobeats has shown Toronto how powerful it is when people from different backgrounds unite under one rhythm. And that's the real legacy time has built: connection. If you've ever danced at an Afrobeats party in Toronto, or felt the energy of a Burna Boy or Wizkid concert, you've witnessed history in motion. You've felt how far this culture has come and where it's heading. And the most exciting part, we're still just getting started. So whether you're a DJ, an artist, a promoter, or just someone who loves the music, remember that every moment you spend celebrating Afrobeats adds another layer to its story. Time may have shaped it, but it's people like you who keep it alive. Toronto and Afrobeats, two names now permanently intertwined through rhythm, history, and pride. If you've enjoyed this journey through time and culture, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. There's a lot more coming your way.